Evening, ladies and gents, boys and girls. Welcome to tonight's presentation. If you listen to this live, welcome. I think you're going to enjoy this one. And if you're catching up with this module at some part of your 12 weeks, take many notes and come to your next coaching call with any questions and queries about this. This is a topic that is relevant for all of us at all times, really. And I'm calling the whole module Turning Shit into Sugar. It's my way of just, how to have a positive mind in a negative world. So first of all, what do I mean by a positive mindset? So a positive mindset is an attitude someone has who expects good and desired results. And this power of positivity is immense, and it can help convert that energy into reality. So it's all about, the key word is expects. It's that expectation. A lot of people say, well, it's all very well just keeping positive, thinking positive. And that's not to say that bad things won't happen. Of course they will. Bad things happen to good people all the time, and to people that don't deserve that. But it's about also how we react to that, and we'll talk about that as we go through this presentation. So first of all, let's look at some of the things that are going on in the world, and obviously the big topic, COVID-19 and lockdown. As we speak, it's day one of the second lockdown. I guess it's not a full one, but we're doing a month here in the UK. I know it's been pretty messed up situation for most people this year, and the studies are showing that depression's gone through the roof, anxiety, and suicide. Suicide has been its worst for 20 years, which is quite disturbing, particularly among men between about the age of 20 and 45, which always seems to be the highest rates anyway, but they've definitely taken a big increase. And obviously this leads, because of COVID and people not working and out of a job and their livelihood being ruined with the economy, it's obviously led to uncertainty over income and supporting family, if that's you, death of a loved one. We all know people who have had someone that's succumbed to this virus, or we know of people, we know it's happening, and there's been close to 50,000 people have died now. And just the fear of contracting the virus, and also lack of control. And I put that picture on of the girl with the mask on. There's, whether you believe the mask helps or doesn't help, there is a big problem with a lot of people thinking the government are controlling them, and they're being forced to wear a muzzle, as I like to call it. I'm not a big fan. I'm not going to get into why. Just some of the research I've seen suggests that it might not be the way forward. But again, that's just my own personal opinion. Again, everything's down to perception. For example, if I'd had a close member of the family die from this, obviously perhaps my perception would be different. So it may be very, very different for you. And I'm not going to say you're right or wrong. I'm not going to say I'm right or wrong. It's just my opinion. But it can take away a lot of lack of control, and a lot of worries that we have, a lot of negative mindset is really negative goal setting, can come down to that fear and lack of control. And it's not just to do with COVID-19 and lockdown. It's all other aspects of life, really. And there's other parts of negativity that we're living through with normal life. And social media it's a great tool. It's fantastic. I mean, look at what we're doing now. Big part of my business, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, they're great tools, but they can also be a really big source of negativity. And if you're prone to latching on to that negativity, it can cause a problem. US election, as we speak, I think we're in day 3 of counting the votes. That's a big emotive topic for a lot of people. Personally, well, I'm not American, obviously. I don't care. I truly believe that we create our own economy, we create our own outlook on life. So whether it's something I can't control, obviously I'm talking about who would be the Prime Minister is directly responsible for the decisions in the UK, but also in the world. I can't control that. So if I'm worrying about things I can't control, it can cause a lot of stress. I focus on what I can control, and that's my own economy within my own life. Avoiding the news and the newspapers. Look, I read over the weekend, and it was a decent newspaper. I can't remember that, but it was a broadsheet. It was either the Telegraph or the Independent. So supposedly one of the better publications, and they were using language like this virus is going to tear through the country and there's going to be millions dead, and it was just doom and gloom. Now, unfortunately, because of the language that news and newspapers use, it scares a lot of people unnecessarily. And I'm not saying this is not a thing. It definitely is a thing. But we've got to be very careful with the language that we're exposed to the sources of material that we're exposed to, because they can absolutely influence. They can make us feel positive or they can make us feel negative about a certain situation. Like, I'm not, it's not, again, it's not to say, oh, it's COVID, what the hell, and just be out there being completely positive about things. But it's also being aware of the language that's being used around the whole situation, and that feeling or of uncertainty and the promotion of scarcity when it comes to health. And to focus on what we can do, what we can't, and rather than focus on what we can't do. And I'll talk about that as we go through the presentation. And friends and family, usually the closest people to us can be the most negative. So I've talked about this on previous trainings, previous modules. Be very, very careful of the people that you surround yourself with, because they can very often be the biggest source of negativity in our lives, which is rather unfortunate when you think about it. Benefits of positive thinking. Now, this is going to sound a bit obvious, but this is proven. This is proven. This is true. This is fact. This is from studies. This is research. This is what the data shows us. From just thinking positively about situation in life, better energy. That goes to sounds obvious, obviously, isn't it? Better quality of life, better health, physical and psychological, even emotional to a certain extent, better recovery from illness. A lot of studies to prove that. Obviously, less depression. It kind of coincides with less stress and more time. Well, not necessarily more time, because we can't create more time. We've all got 24 hours in the day, but more perceived time. When you're in a better mood, when you've got positive, you manage to carve out time for things that are important to you. So you just seem to have time for things, as opposed to when you're in a negative mindset where you never have enough time, or I'm always rushed, I'm in a hurry. So it's just a perception really of time. And better coping skills. If you're in a better mood, you can cope with things. And when the shit does hit the fan, you've got a better response to that. And obviously the big one is the longer lifespan and longevity. Stress is one of the biggest killers. It's a silent killer. So thinking positively can have a massive outlook on your immediate short-term life, but also your long-term and longevity and how long we stay alive on this planet. So let's look at what you can do right now. And I touched on this earlier on. We absolutely need to focus on what you can control. Okay. So let's use this current month, this lockdown. It's very easy to be thinking about the things that we don't have. So just off the top of my head, we can't go to the gym. So that is a source of stress for many people, including myself, if I'm honest. We can't go to restaurants. We can't go to pubs. We can't go to different social events. There's no sporting events. We're limited to the family members that we can see, but we can't control that. That's just the law at the moment. So we could focus and bitch and moan and slag the government off and say how crap a job Boris Johnson is doing. And he may well be doing a crap job. I don't know. I know that they're doing the best they can in shitty circumstances. So rather than bitching and moaning, which is just a negative goal setting really about a situation we can't control, how about controlling some of the things, or focusing rather on some of the things you can control? And in terms of keeping a positive mindset, the first thing I would look at is your nutrition. It just so happens that the big part of this program that you're currently on is obviously from a weight loss perspective, which means we're talking about nutrition. That the food that you put into your body goes into your mind will create the outcome. You are what you eat. And that's going to show up in a physical sense in terms of losing body fat or gaining body fat, but also in a mental sense. It's going to feed your brain. Absolutely. If you have a diet full of junk food, it's not to say you can't be a positive person if you're full of junk food, but it's a much harder job. And the outcomes from having a junk food based diet is probably going to result in weight gain, poor sleep, lack of energy. And when those things are down, it's very hard to have an upbeat personality. So, nutrition would be the first thing I would focus on if someone is not as positive as they think they could be. And you guys are all doing that. Um, you can control your exercise to a certain extent. We've got no gyms, so you might not be able to go to your normal gym routine, but you can absolutely move your body every day, whether it's kit from home, whether it's walking, jogging, cycling, walks with the family, walking the dog, playing with the kids, all these different things. We can keep our bodies active. We can get blood pumping, which is going to help us physically, mentally, emotionally, dare I say, spiritually. Exercise is one of the best alleviators of depression and a poor mindset. Okay. You can control the info you digest and the environment. And I touched on this in a previous slide. And I've always talking about this in my live modules, the info you digest. And that would be down to the news and newspapers we talked about, the TV programs you watch, the magazines you read, the blogs you read, the podcasts you listen to. All of this information can either be very, very negative or it can be very, very positive, and it can absolutely change the way you look at things. You know, my mum, she reads the Sun newspaper. She's 78 years old, very Scottish, very set in her ways, very, very working class, and it's fine. She won't be listening to this presentation. She's very stuck in her ways. Her day is run by what's said in the Sun newspaper. It's a rag, just a joke, but the headlines are splashed. COVID, it's going to kill us all, ripping through the country, NHS overwhelmed. It's got her scared. Now, to be truthful, at 79 years old, sorry, she's in a high risk category. So she would absolutely needs to be shielded. So there's a certain concern that she could have, but she won't see anyone. She won't travel. It's really got her shaken up. It's become a massive thing. It's got her scared, but she's not seeing the full picture. Maybe she's reading the headlines in the Sun newspaper, and the environment is a massive thing. I talked about Jim Rohn's quote, we're the sum of the 5 people we surround ourselves with, or the people that we hang with the most. If you're in a negative crowd, guess what? Much of your thoughts, many of your thoughts are going to be negative about what you haven't got and what you can't do, and the government's this, and what about taxes? And, if you're around people that are healthy, fit, into nutrition, go to the gym, are progressive, thinking about what we can look forward to, absolutely will rub off on how you think and what you believe to be possible in any walk, any part of life, not just losing weight, making money, relationships. Any part of your life can be absolutely influenced by the people you hang around with. So how do we go about thinking about good things? It's going to sound a bit obvious, but you just have to focus on the good things. Like I said, sorry to captain fucking obvious here, but by focusing on the things that are good in your life, it gets you thinking about those things rather than focusing on the things that are going wrong. We all know things are going to go wrong. That's just life. But focus on the things that are good. Practice gratitude. Being grateful is one of the most important things we can do. Like, look, if you're listening to this presentation and you're watching this through your laptop or your phone or desktop and you're listening, you've got a lot to be grateful for. Now, here's the thing. Your worst day, there's 2 billion people on the planet would love to have your worst day. I know it's all relative and you can't say compare what we've got to, those 2 billion that haven't even got clean water and shoes to wear or secure roof over their head. They're in fear, they're not safe, violence, there's horrible things that go on in the world. But when you break it down, however bad it gets, if you listen to this on a laptop, you've got a lot to be grateful for. And there's a lot of people around the world would love to have your worst day. Think about that. So it's just putting things into perspective. It's easier said than done, I know. And you can write that gratitude down in a journal. I've talked about journaling before. It's one of the most powerful things to do. Perhaps we'll do a training specifically on journaling in the future. In fact, we will. I mentioned the 3x3 formula. And just to give you a very quick recap over this is a great thing, really good thing to get you thinking positively. The 3x3 formula is to write down three things each morning: three people that love you and three people that you love. Okay, that's the number one. Then three things you're most proud of. That could be family, an accomplishment, a sporting achievement, or a charity that you work for, or anything like that. Things you're proud of, and then also write down three things you're excited about. Okay, so that could be anything in the future, a holiday coming up, or a trip that you're going to do, or a project that you're going to finish, or something, and write those down every single morning. It's a really great thing. Rather than just doing it, wait until you feel a bit down in the dumps. Do it on a daily basis, and you'll really, really start to see the good things that are in your life. And all it is about perception and getting you to think about the things that are going right rather than focus on the things that could go wrong or are going wrong. And I mentioned environment is key there. I'm repeating myself, but it's probably worth repeating. And positive self-talk, it could be a bit wishy-washy for a lot of people, but talking to yourself in the mirror first thing in the morning. Yeah, I can do this. Come on, let's focus. Come on, let's get, just look at yourself. Even have a little mantra you can say to yourself in the morning. Just G yourself up. It's a great little thing. So actually, I do that, and I've just only come into my head as I've put this presentation together. Whenever I've done some public speaking, a couple of years ago, I was working in the city and did quite a lot of what they would call lunch and learns in various banks around the city. I would go into a company and just talk for about 45 minutes to an hour about health, nutrition, fitness, fat loss, that type of thing. And I'd get very nervous, but in a way that I could channel it. Nervous is good. I believe if things make you nervous, it means they're important to you, as long as you can control those nerves. And I would have a little thing. I would go to the loo literally a couple of minutes before I was about to go on stage, so to speak. It wasn't a stage; it was on a, like a meeting room with about 100 people in there sometimes. So no stage as such. But when you go out and speak, public speaking, it's a lot of people's worst nightmare. And I would get very nervous, but at the same time, very buzzed. So what I would do is I would go to the mirror in the toilet and kind of make this move, like sounds a bit stupid, but like a sounds very stupid saying it, like a karate chop, like ha, come on, you can do this. Be like really kind of psych myself up. I'm laughing as I say this now. Sounds a bit, what the hell are you doing? But it really helped. And also, a thing I would recognize is the same hormones and neurotransmitters are released when you're excited and also when you're nervous. So rather than thinking, oh my God, I'm shitting myself, I'm so nervous, I would look at the mirror and say, I'm so buzzed, I'm so excited, I'm going to crush this. I'd go out there and I'd always perform really, really well. That's that positive self-talk. So maybe you don't do that in the mirror, but that's just something I've done to try and get myself in a better frame of mind and to look at the same situation but from a different light. Am I nervous? Am I shit scared? The truth is I am. But if I tell myself I'm excited and buzzed and I'm going to kill it, then I get a very different outcome, a remarkably different outcome. It's focusing what I can do, not what could happen. And start the day in a positive way. And that could be some exercise, could be writing in your journal, could be that mantra in front of the mirror. It could be have a nice cup of coffee, cup of tea, whatever your thing is. Go and see your loved ones, kids, wife, husband, whatever. Put some music on is a very good way of doing that. A lot of people have used music to brighten the day. So if you've got a favorite song or something that gets you in a positive mood, watch something, read something, listen to a podcast. There's so many different ways to think about good things rather than focusing on the bad things in life. Here's what we shouldn't do. Focus on what you don't want to happen. In life, you get more of what you focus on. You really do. You get in life what you focus on. And if you're always thinking about what could go wrong, what is going wrong, the economy, the bad things in life, all the negativity, you attract more of what you don't want into your life. And I've got a thing that I kind of say to myself. I tried to say to myself. I don't try to say it. I say it. I try to adhere to it. The philosophy: if you can't control it, fuck it. That's it. What can I do about this situation? If I can change it, then change it. If I can't, I'm gonna have to roll with it. And that isn't easy. But the reality is, you could spend your whole life worrying about things you can't control, can't change, or you can try and let that shit go. Big fan of Tony Robbins. There he is. Some people love him, some people hate him. I personally think he's one of the best speakers and coaches and motivational gurus, for want of a better phrase. He doesn't like that moniker, but his quote is, "Where our attention goes, our energy flows." And this is either positive or negative. If you're thinking about something and it's what you want more of it, your attention goes on that subject or that thing, our energy flows, things happen, things appear to come out of the resources, the woodwork, to make things conspire to achieve that goal. The same with the negativity. If you think about things you don't want to happen, they can amplify. Our energy goes and more attention focuses on the negative. So positive and negative. Where our energy goes, where our attention goes, our energy flows. And here's a quote that I pulled off the internet, and it was quoteless. So I put it quoted by someone: "The goal isn't to get rid of all our negative thoughts and feelings. That's impossible. The goal is to change your response to them." And I thought that was absolutely spot on. I think people think I shouldn't be thinking negative. All should have these positive thoughts. That's bullshit. The reality is we're all going to get negative thoughts, some more than others, throughout our life, even on a daily basis, daily occurrence. And it's how you respond to those negative thoughts. I've talked about this before, about not believing your thoughts. Don't believe everything to be true. Just because you get a negative thought, that doesn't actually mean it's true. But even if it is true, what can we do? How can you respond to that in a positive way? So we're nearly going to wrap the presentation, guys, but let's look at some daily habits. Things that we can do on a daily basis. Okay. First of all, we can smile. And it's easier said than done when things aren't going well. You've got worries, someone's ill, money troubles, problems at home. But literally the actual physiological act of smiling, just sitting and smiling in front of a mirror, however stupid it feels, has been shown to release chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, even oxytocin to a certain extent. And these are our happy hormones. So just smile. It's hard to feel pissed off when you smile. You feel like an idiot, but it changes something chemically, physiologically, psychologically, perhaps. We mentioned exercise, the benefits of that. You guys are obviously doing that. Nutrition, food, water, supplementation. I talked about fish oil and the power of fish oil for your mental capacity, and the myelin sheath, which is the membrane that goes around all our nerve cells in the brain. So fish oil is one of the best things you can take from a mood enhancing perspective. Sleep, the number one, probably should have been at the top actually before smiling, but obviously we do tend to do sleeping at the end of the day rather than the beginning of the day. You could have everything else, all your ducks in line. If you're not sleeping if you're sleeping badly, it's going to affect everything. I would say look at sleep for most people and then address everything else. You can start the day. There's a reason why they say, have a sleep on it, think about it overnight, because clarity on a particular subject can be a lot better when you've had a good night's sleep. Try and make good decisions when you're absolutely exhausted. In terms of in food, work decisions, driving, everything becomes a lot harder. You make poor decisions when you have a lack of sleep. Deep breathing. Most people are fairly stressed and they tend to be shallow breathers. So they do short, sharp breaths, inhale, exhale. And so the air is only coming down into their chest rather than coming very deep into their stomach. So deep diaphragmatical breathing can really help. If you're feeling very stressed, a couple of deep breaths, real inhale, so it goes right down into your stomach expands, and exhale. And guess what? That's why people like smoking. It's not clearly the inhalation of smoke and all those toxic fumes and the chemicals and the poisonous substances that promote cancer that causes us to relax. It's the fact of when you have a cigarette, you do that massive inhale and there's a long exhale. Isn't that interesting? The cigarettes will calm you down, but funny enough, it actually puts your heart rate up and puts a strain on your heart. But it's the perception, that deep breath that people are getting. Goal setting can really, really help when it comes to keeping a positive mindset because you're focusing on things that are going to happen in the future on a positive. No one sets goals in a negative way. That's worrying. Worrying is actually negative goal setting. You're worrying about something that may happen, usually doesn't happen, and you're thinking about it consistently. So you're setting a negative goal. You're like, I don't want this to happen in the future. You've got no control of what's going to happen in the future. You don't know if it's going to be true. So planning, so on a micro level, would be daily, would be your to-do list or goals and intentions that we talked about, weekly goals and monthly goals. Okay, this can really, really help when it comes to keeping a positive mindset. Turn your phone off. Every now and then, just turn it off. And probably one of the best things to do in the morning is to get up and work on yourself, do some of these things that we've talked about, focus on you in that first hour before you turn your phone off. And if you can do that, you can maybe switch it off for a couple of hours throughout the week. Just say, between 3 and 4, I'm not going to have my phone on, so no one can get hold of you. So you stop scrolling the gram, or if you think you're a bit better than everyone else, scrolling LinkedIn or Facebook or reading the news or watching YouTube. Just turn your phone off. Look, 20 years ago, we all survived without them. I'm sure we can do it now. And I'm talking to myself here as much as you guys. And here's the big thing as well. Acknowledge the shit, but don't focus on it. It's impossible to avoid things going wrong in this life. The economy, the government, money, family, things go wrong. The world's a crazy place, particularly at the moment. So acknowledge it. This is where we are, but then don't focus on it. Focus on what you can control. Okay. Don't wallow in the things that are going wrong. So there's some of the daily habits that can help. And great quote by Wayne Dyer. He's written some great books. He's kind of like a spiritual teacher. Unfortunately, he's dead now. Died a few years back. But I love this quote because it's so true. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. So stuff's going to happen. That's just the universe. Things are unfolding. The days will follow nights, the weeks, the months, the years are going to roll on whether we like it or not. And things are going to happen. But it's how we look at those things, how we perceive them. So when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And that's really, everyone's got that on an individual perspective, really. You haven't known someone, you've looked at something and you've perceived it to be very or not negative, and then even your friend or someone will look at the same thing and be really offended by something, or that could affect them in a negative way. All that is just the perception of that. It's the same occurrence. The one that just pops into my mind as I'm talking here is the weather. So many people allow the weather to dictate their mood or how they feel or their energy that day. They get up, oh my God, look at the weather, particularly if you're from the UK. If you're living in California at the moment, or I use that as just one of the places that's sunny all the time. So it seems you get up most days, it's going to be sunny. It's got a great effect on your mood. But the UK, when it's pissing down a lot of the time, it's grey, it's cold, it's wet. A lot of people will wake up and allow that, something they cannot control at all, to affect, oh God, look at the weather. the next person can get up and, I'm not saying, oh my God, great, it's raining. I'm not saying that, but they could accept it for what it is, acknowledge the shit. Yeah, it's a shitty day today. It's raining, but it's cold. Great. And just get on with it. And it won't let those silly things affect you in a negative way. Okay, a few books, and this is a final slide of the presentation, guys. A few books, resources that you might want to check out. First of all, great book by Dr. Joe Dispenza. This is a bit woo-woo. This is a bit out there, but it's called You Are the Placebo. And it's using the power of the mind to heal you. He believes, look, he is a bit out there. He believes that we can, and you all know what the placebo effect is. And that's where, in double-blind tests, they've given people a drug to cure something or to fix a problem, and they've given other people a sugar pill or a pill that doesn't contain the active ingredient, and they've told the people that had the drug that it didn't, and they've told people that didn't have the drug that it did. And guess what? People that thought they were taking the drug cured their symptoms. And some of the people that were told they didn't have the drug still had the pain or the problem or the condition. So the mind is very, very powerful. There's a placebo. They reckon placebo could be up to 30%. Think about that. So this is, and I'm not saying like, someone gets cancer and the power of positive thought and think about this and you can turn your life around and you can cure cancer. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it can help with symptoms and definitely the outlook. And the flip side of that, this has been documented, is when a doctor has told a terminally ill patient that they've got 6 months to live, when they've used that and they've got no clue. How dare the fucking doctor tell someone they've got 6 months to live? The doctor isn't God. If you believe in that, the doctor, it's just they're actually not allowed to say that now. This is talking years ago. A doctor comes in and said to a terminally ill patient, you've got 6 months to live. It's been proven. Some of those people have died 6 months to the day from when the doctor said you had 6 months to live, because they said, the doctors told me I've got 6 months to live, so I'm going to die in 6 months. That's the power of the mind in a negative way. And that has been documented. So the flip side, don't always believe what you hear, and realize that you are a placebo and it can really help you on all aspects of your life. So it's a great, great book. It's a bit woo-woo, bit out there, but if you kind of like that stuff, it's worth checking out. Okay, a couple of books by Eckhart Tolle, who is this German spiritual teacher. Is that his Audible versions of these books are actually even better. If you like cliched German camp spiritual teachers, he's not gay, but he sounds very camp. He's got this little cliched German accent. It's very nice, soothing to listen to. But the first book, The Power of Now, is brilliant. It's all about living in the now. If you think about most people's worries, it's about something that has gone on previously, they should have done, and then they're worrying about the future. So most people are trapped in worrying about the future and thinking about what they should have done before, both of which you can't control. So The Power of Now is about taking stock of where you are right now, living in the moment. Very, very good book. And even better, in my opinion, is his follow-up book to this, is one called A New Earth. And it just kind of touches on the power of now, but goes into even deeper aspects of that. Worth checking out. I would go for New Earth over Power of Now, but that's just my opinion. And an even more practical book, James Clear, is Atomic Habits. And this isn't woo-woo at all. The first two, Joe Dispenza, Eckhart Tolle, are quite out there, quite spiritual, and that might not resonate with some of you. But if you want facts, data, and habits and techniques you can put into place right now, check out James Clear's Atomic Habits. It's absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best books I've read. And if you want to check out his podcast, he's a really, really great resource. So hopefully that's helped you guys. That is the end of the presentation. Hope you enjoyed that. As I said, if you listen to this live, hope you enjoyed. And if you listen to this one of your modules, I will catch you on the next coaching call and in the next module. Thank you.